By now there's a chance you've heard about how several Latin American countries are involved in what is considered by many to be the largest global corruption scandal in history. I'm talking, of course, about the Odebrecht case.
Outrage across Latin America at one of the world's greatest corruption scandals.
The first arrest of many to come, officials say.
Brazil's car wash scandal has already swept away one president, and it's now seeping into the office of another.
And the reason why this case is so important is because what started as a simple investigation of a network of money changers on the Brazilian black market ended with the discovery that Odebrecht had paid nearly $800 million in bribes in exchange for construction contracts in the region between the years 2001 and 2016. Now, after talking to investigators, Odebrecht confessed that bribes had taken place in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Guatemala, Mexico, Panama, Peru, and Venezuela. This scandal has already implicated presidents and high-ranking officials in the region, and in fact, many international media outlets are suggesting that as more information comes to light, this could even potentially have more than one president removed from office. In Brazil alone, the company spread extremely fast and was being paid billions of dollars for airports, roads, trains, even power plants. Throughout the years, the company was also awarded many construction contracts outside of Brazil, most of them located in Central and South America. But that all changed a couple of years ago. In 2014, the federal police in Brazil started investigating a huge case of money laundering and corruption in the state-run oil company Petrobras. The investigation found that a cartel formed by some of the largest construction companies in the country was in fact bribing Petrobras directors and politicians in charge of designating those directors so that they could be awarded massive contracts. And one of the companies participating in this so-called cartel was, you guessed it, Odebrecht. And in June of 2015, its CEO, Marcelo Odebrecht, was arrested along with 76 other executives in connection to this investigation. By December last year, the evidence kept piling up, and the company was in deep trouble since it had been banned from tendering major infrastructure projects, and on top of that, Marcelo Odebrecht was still in jail. So he decided to reach a deal with the investigators and offer details of the company's illegal operations in exchange for a shorter prison sentence. As it turns out, over the years, Odebrecht had created a sort of structured system to handle briberies for corrupt politicians in 3 different continents. This hidden business unit was so well organized that US investigators even referred to it as a department of bribery. Eventually, last April, Odebrecht reached a plea deal with authorities from the United States, Brazil, and Switzerland, and was forced to pay the biggest corruption-related fine in history, $2.6 billion. Now it was time to find out who took those bribes. So investigators from 10 different countries created a sort of international task force, hoping to identify every single politician involved. So far, it's a mess. Let's start with Argentina.
According to the information released by the US Department of Justice, Odebrecht confessed to paying over $35 million in bribes between 2007 and 2013, back when Cristina Kirchner was president. The company said that, as they understood it, part of this money was destined to pay off Argentine government officials. The company also said that these payments were made related to at least 3 major infrastructure projects that cost approximately $278 million. All of this has led the Argentine justice system to open at least 5 different investigations in the country, some of them opened even before the assistant of the US Department of Justice. Number 1, back in January, La Nación reported that the current head of the Federal Agency of Intelligence, Gustavo Arribas, received a total of $600,000 in a Swiss bank account from an Odebrecht operator back in 2013. The accusation was dismissed by a federal judge and is now up to Cassation Court to decide whether to accept an appeal by prosecutor Sergio Rodriguez. Number 2, the investigation of whether Odebrecht paid a bribe to win the contract to build an ISA water treatment plant. Number 3, whether Odebrecht paid any bribes to win the contract to develop the northern and southern natural gas pipeline. Number 4, whether Odebrecht paid any bribes to win the contract of the conversion of the Sarmiento Railway to underground line. And number 5, whether the budget changes made to that same conversion project in 2016 under the Macri administration are also related to bribery. So what happens now? Justice Minister Germán Garabano met with US officials a few days ago in Washington, D.C., hoping to obtain all of the information that Odebrecht provided them with. Garabano says the US made a commitment to work with Argentina on this. He had also met with the company's legal representatives for the same reason. In the meantime, a group of local prosecutors flew to Brazil earlier this month looking to create a joint team with Public Prosecutor's Office over there. The Argentine delegation is waiting to get their hands on the information that the Odebrecht executives gave Brazilian investigators in exchange for immunity. The problem is that in order for that to happen, Brazil has warned that none of the information that is passed on to other countries involved and the executive's immunity deal must remain in place. And here's the problem. According to prosecutor Sergio Rodriguez, who is part of the Argentine's delegation, the deal reached between Odebrecht and the Brazilian justice system is not compatible with Argentine's justice system, since the local law says prosecutors cannot stop investigating a crime only because the suspect has been cooperative. There could be a way out, though, since Article 37 of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption says that the country asking for information, in this case Argentina, can consider the possibility of reaching a deal with the country offering the information in order to reduce a prison sentence or give judicial immunity to those who have reached a plea deal.
And in Brazil, President Temer seems to have avoided a major disaster recently. Last year, when Marcelo Odebrecht reached a deal with the investigators, he said that part of the money that his company gave to the Rousseff Temer campaign in 2014 was illegal. But a few days ago, Temer caught a break after the top electoral court in Brazil decided to ignore the plea bargain statements from Odebrecht executives. For other countries in the region, the situation is pretty bad too. In Colombia, Odebrecht allegedly paid close to $11 million in bribes. In Peru, prosecutors have called for the arrest of former President Alejandro Toledo and accused him of taking bribes for close to $20 million from Odebrecht. Mexico? A high-ranking official from the state-owned oil company Pemex is said to have received over $10 million in bribes back in 2013 in exchange for public contracts. Venezuela, $98 million in briberies to public officials. Ecuador, $33 million. Panama, $59 million. Guatemala, Dominican Republic. It's almost like everywhere you look, Odebrecht was trying to bribe someone. So what happens now? Well, it's up to prosecutors from each country involved to analyze the information released by Brazilian authorities and investigate each individual suspected of taking bribes. It won't be easy, and in cases such as Venezuela, it will likely lead to nothing considering the high levels of government corruption. Now, if there's one silver lining to be found, is that people see this enormous investigation as a sign that Latin America is maturing and adherence to the rule of law is now a priority.
Está todo en la fiscalía y lo van a tener que averiguar y se tendrá que también traer a la gente de Odebrecht que explique a quién se le pagó esa plata.
Y marca realmente algo muy llamativo que debe ser investigado hasta las últimas consecuencias.
But at the same time, experts feel that such a blatant display of corruption and the fact that you can now put a face to the people taking the money could bring a wave of anti-establishment candidates in the region.